Yeah, so I think the biggest myth today, right now, that we have a lot of merchants, and I just touched on it, is can I charge a fee to take credit cards? I think it's, or that I guess the myth would be that I can't. A lot of merchants believe because customers tell them you can't, it's illegal and this and that, and it's not allowed. And the fact is that it is allowed. You just have to do it the right way, in a compliant way.
Hey everyone, this is Devin Miller here with another episode of The Inventive Expert. I'm your host, Devin Miller, the serial entrepreneur that's grown several startups into 7 and 8 figure businesses, as well as the founder and CEO of Miller IP Law, where he helps startups and small businesses with their patents and trademarks. You ever need help with yours? Just go to strategymeeting.com, grab some time with us to chat, and we're always here to help. Now, today we've got another great guest on the podcast, Jeff Maine. And Jeff, we're going to be talking about a few different areas, including customer relations and focusing on sales at the expense of your current customers. Maybe also get into a little bit of talk about payment processing for businesses, as well as setting up a purpose-driven business. And so it should be some great areas of expertise to hit on, and definitely looking forward to Jeff being on the podcast. With that much as introduction, welcome on the podcast, Jeff.
Hey, Devin, thank you so much for that introduction, and looking forward to talking about some fun topics today.
Absolutely. So now, or just as a quick reminder to the audience, so Jeff was on our sister podcast, the Inventive Journey. So if you haven't had a chance to catch his episode there, definitely invite you to go do so. But for those that haven't had a chance to catch that episode yet, or catch that podcast yet, take just a minute or two and introduce yourself a bit to the audience.
Yeah, so Jeff Maine, I own Pay Proudly. So we're located out just outside of Hilton Head in Bluffton, South Carolina. And we're still experiencing a little bit warmer weather than most of the country is today, but I know we're getting some coldness coming this way. But started my first payment processing company in the late 90s, when I graduated college, and just been in that space ever since. So we've done 3 or 4 different companies. We've sold portfolios. We've started and sold a check company, which kind of all morphed into Pay Proudly. And the emphasis behind Pay Proudly is 2 things. We wrote the mission before we started the company. And the first part of that mission was to bring merchants clarity in a space that there's just no clarity in. So one of the big problems in the payments world is there's no clarity. Business owners don't understand the payments industry. They don't understand why they pay what they pay. They don't really understand how to process payments the correct way. And there even is a correct way. And so we really want to come in and be more of a hands-on consultative approach. We want our customers to know us, and we want to know them. And then the second part of our mission is a give back. So we want our merchants to pay proudly, and we take a percentage of all of our income that comes in, and we give that back to nonprofits on a monthly basis. The majority of the nonprofits we support are local nonprofits to where the businesses that we're signing up are at. And we give our business owners the credit for this, because without them processing our platforms, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. But it's in the DNA of the company. It's who we are. It's what we do. And it's real. I know a lot of people talk about giving back, but we really do it, and we show our merchants that we're doing it, and we're doing it on behalf of them. So that's who we are.
No, that's awesome. Sounds like a great place to be, and definitely a great business. So with that, kind of, maybe in no particular order, but one of the things that we chatted a bit before before the podcast was, or sometimes as you get into sales, you're always looking for the next new sale or the next new customer. Not that that's bad, and you always want to be expanding and growing, but sometimes that comes at the expense of the current customer. So in other words, because you're always looking for the new sale or the new whale or the new customer, sometimes you neglect or don't focus on taking care of the current customer. So as you're kind of getting into that, how do you find that right balance to where, yeah, you're still expanding and growing, but you're making sure to take care of the current customers?
Yeah, it's a really important topic, and something we talk a lot about in our meetings that we have every week. And I'm a big reinforcer to our team that without our current customer base, we wouldn't be able to, we wouldn't be here, right? So The current customer base is what's paying our salaries. It's what's paying our bills. It's what's paying us to come into work every day and open the doors. And so we can never lose sight of how important that current customer base is. Because it's more important than anything. And now, obviously, we all want to grow, and so we talk a lot about growth, and that's why we have sales departments and divisions, and we hire salespeople. But it's also why we hire customer service people and people to be in the office that do nothing but service clients. And so we have a true separation there where not many of us handle both. But we grow our service department based on sales, and we grow our sales based on how many clients that we have on the books and how much we can service. So they go hand in hand, obviously, but man, one is and you can which one is more important, right? And obviously sales is very, very important, but you can sell all day long, and if you can't service your clients and you're losing them faster than you're selling, your company is spiraling. So you have to be able to back up what your salespeople are saying and what you're promising and what you're putting on the table. And that's something we talk about every week. It's a big topic. It's super important to us. And we want our customers to know when they call us, they're not getting a call center. They're calling us, and we're answering the phones, and we're servicing those accounts. Because if we do that and we do it good, our attrition numbers are next to nothing. And it's a whole lot less expensive to keep current clients than it is to go find new ones.
No, makes definitely makes sense. Now, so and you started to touch on it. So now when you're looking at saying, okay, we got to make sure to take care of our current clients. That's who's paying the bills. Now, do you just completely focus on current clients and never go and do a new client generation, or kind of what's that balance? So in other words, because any new client or any current client at one point was a new client and you brought them on,
Right.
and so how do you kind of make that balance to where does that fit come? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think from an ownership level and an executive team level, right, we're going to be touching both sides of it, but we hire people that only touch one side of it. We hire customer service reps and our that team that we're building, and their job is not to sell it. We don't even train them in sales. That we've trained them in servicing clients, and same thing in sales, right? We hire salespeople and we train them to go sell, and we train them how to sell and what clients need and what to look for and how to bring merchants that clarity. But we don't train them on how to change a merchant's bank account or how to fix a machine that's broken or how to so there's definitely two sides to our business, and we can separate those sides. And from an executive team, obviously, even my level, I'm touching both, right? I'm helping with the service side of it, and I'm also helping with the sales side of it. But you have to keep both sides running, and they have to run together to make each better. They have to be, they both have to be great.
No, I think that makes sense. So it sounds like, some of the management you're going to be considering both and running teams or hiring people to manage it, but then, within responsibilities for those given team members, they kind of have more of an exclusive focus on one area or the other, which allows them to really, rather than you're chasing the new sale. So you're, trying to take care of current customers when you're really chasing the next sale, or you're on a commission basis. And so you're incentivized one way or the other. You splitting out those responsibilities certainly makes sense. And sounds like it provides the ability to really, take care of both types of customers and clients.
A lot of businesses like ours, everybody wears every hat. And in my opinion, that prohibits a salesperson from building a bigger book of business, right? Because if they're having to handle all their customer service and new sales, you're going to reach a plateau of I'm too busy doing customer service. I'm too busy answering my phone. Every time I get more sales going, I've got to go over here and fix this issue or change this or get this corrected. And so we didn't want to see that in our business. So we wanted to separate those two. And so as we hire, and we also are, we're also a W-2 employment company, which a lot of payment processing companies are more 1099 sales, but all of our salespeople are W-2, our customer service people are W-2. And so we really do a good job of separating those because we see the importance of it. Having those low attrition numbers are as important as anything, and even from valuations of your business, or growing your portfolio, or anything you do, because you will reach a point, if your attrition numbers are high enough, you're signing new business, you're just replacing what you're signing. You'll reach that plateau, where your business really isn't growing, you're just maintaining.
No, it makes perfect sense, and sounds like is a bit, sometimes you start out when you're the only person that's at the business, or if you only have a very small team. By de facto, you almost have to take on some of those roles. But it sounds like planning with that, almost with that purpose of, hey, as we grow and as we start to bring on customers, we're going to have that split of responsibilities makes a big difference. Now,
Absolutely. And that's how we hired people, right? So, we've organically grown the company where we were one guy and two guys and three and four. But we know if we hire the salespeople before the customer service, it's not going to work. That because we believe we got to bring on the customer service person that can handle more deals, and then bring on the salesperson that can go sell more. And so that's how we grow.
perfect. No, it makes good sense. I love that approach to it. So now shifting gears just slightly, but I think it goes along with a lot of what you guys do and the focus you have, which is one of the things that we'd also chatted about was kind of having a purpose-driven business. And now I think that
Yeah.
to a degree, I'll caveat. I think that that one's maybe become a catchword or a buzz phrase, so to speak, in the sense that everybody's purpose driven, and yet there's a difference or disconnect sometimes between actually being purpose driven or focused versus just kind of doing it name only, just to convey that or to be the catchphrase of the day. And so, how do you go about actually setting up a purpose driven business that has the kind of the effect or the outcome that you're looking for? Kind of what's the difference there?
Yeah. So I think there's multiple purposes in all businesses, right? I mean, obviously we're a for business, and so we're big purpose is to make money. But then we have the give back programs and the different things that we're doing, and we put a lot of weight in all of that. That's and it's interesting. With the give back program, it's we give away 10% of our revenue, to give back, and we tend to have more conversation about that 10% of our business than the 90% of our income when it comes to sales, and when it hiring people. And because people they put a lot of weight in that, and especially your younger professionals that are coming up, the younger generations, they are all about these give back programs and how important they are, and gives you some faith in humanity, right, of where we're going and what we got going on. And but it's really been interesting that we are able to hire people because they want to be a part of a company that has a give back program, and that's more important to them than maybe a little bit extra money, or it's given me a whole, and we didn't do it because of that. The intent. The intent was my wife and I wanted to start a company with a give back program that was in the DNA of the business, that we gave back from the first dollar we made, that it wasn't hindsight. It wasn't because we all of a sudden we're making enough money that we could do a give back. It wasn't we wanted to do it from the very beginning, that said, we're going to build this business with this in mind, and this is how we're going to do it. And so, but then you start doing it, and it becomes such a big piece of our conversations. And merchants love it, and the employees love it. And obviously these nonprofits, so it brings a lot of, when you walk in and you give a nonprofit $1,000 check that they weren't even thinking they were going to get this month, they're all of a sudden like, man, and then you go give them a $2,000 or $3,000 check, and they're like, where'd this come from? And we're like, well, it's because of all these businesses that process on our platform. And they wanted us to support the local food pantry this month, or they want us to support the animals this month, or they want us to support the Boys and Girls Club, or whatever it is. And so we're able to do that stuff, and that purpose, it drives new business. It drives opportunity. It drives, it drives employee retention, I believe. But I think having a purpose makes your clients know you're real and stay doing business with you for a longer period. I think we can extend the relationships. So it's done wonders for our business.
No, that's awesome. Now, kind of one that maybe not I call it a pushback. It's not really a pushback, but I
Yeah.
think one of the drawbacks that people sometimes, especially if you're a business owner and, especially if you're getting early, kind of as you hit on, it's sometimes you get businesses that, hey, once we reach a certain level, then we'll start thinking about giving back because we have enough profit or enough
Yeah.
revenue in order to do so. And yet by that point, a lot of times it's not ingrained, ingrained in the culture of
Mhm.
the business because it wasn't there from the start. Now on the flip side is from the start you're also trying to just survive, and you're every dollar,
Mhm.
you never have enough money to cover all the expenses, let alone give back. And so how do you kind of, if you're going to kind of set it up, and you mentioned
Yeah.
set it up from the beginning, how do you do that when a lot of times for a startup you're living paycheck to paycheck, or every dollar counts kind of a thing?
Yeah, so we had obviously we had some benefit because we have had successful businesses in the past, and so we came into this with probably better funding than most business startups would be at a new business startup. But I will say that one of the biggest things we did differently with this business is, and we learned this from our business coach, was we set up multiple bank accounts. And so we had a charity bank account, we had a tax account, we had a residual payout account that we pay our salaries and agents and people with. And we had an operating account, and then we had an owner pay account, right? So we had these different bank accounts, and we had percentages that we would just, so if the income came in, we had percentages for all those different accounts, and this income would come in, and we would just diversify those percentages based to those accounts. And what ended up in the operating account, we knew that's what we had to run the business on. So we'd
Hmm.
already paid our taxes, we'd already taken a percentage out for owner pay, we'd already done all these other, we'd already given our money back to charity. And now we're left with X percentage in our operations account. And so we knew if we wanted to do this new marketing idea, or we needed this new software, we needed this, we could just look at our operating account instead of looking at profit and loss and balance sheets and how much money's in the bank, because we've already moved those funds. So it really gave us a lot of clarity around growing the business when you're making these financial decisions that say, yeah, we can afford it, or no, we can't. um, but because we already knew all these other bills had been paid, right? So we already knew we paid our taxes. We already knew we paid everything that we had to pay. So what was left over in the operating account, we could make decisions on what to do with that money, how to run the business. And so that brought a lot of clarity when you're kind of running on that budget. And I'll be honest, we'd still do that today. That's still how we operate our business. And you know, as you make more money, you can change your percentages and you can do different things. But that is today how we operate our business.
Makes sense. And I think you hit on, even, when you're getting, or from the get-go, if you're, first of all, you should have a budget, or you should have a plan towards profitability. So in other words, I think
Absolutely.
that, whether or not you're going to be coming in with, hey, we've had successful businesses before, and we're going to roll that over, or you're starting from scratch, you should say, here's how we're going to make the money. But I think, to your point, almost having that intentionality of, okay, now as we're making a 30% profit margin. I'll make it up. And maybe we're going
Yeah,
to get 5% of that to giving. And so we are saying, and now if we don't hit our 25%, then there's something wrong with the business model, or the
that's
30%, there's
right.
something wrong with the business model that you need to fix and address anyway. But I think having that intentionality of building it in from the get-go can make it so that it's going to hit that traction and going to have that success.
Yeah, and there's a great book out that talks about that. It's called Profit First, and that's where the multiple bank accounts kind of came in, and you actually have a profit account as well. And in the beginning, you might only shave 1% into that account, but it's still fun to watch that account grow and what you can do with it, what you do, and but it's a great learning tool, so it's awesome.
No, I think that definitely makes sense, and I think that's a great book as well, and definitely encourage people to read it and take a look at it if they haven't done so. Now, shifting gears again, or just a little bit again,
Yeah,
one of the things that you guys do focus on is payment processing. So you've been doing
it
that for
is.
quite a period of time. So now, if you were to kind of take a step back and say, okay, is this startup or a small business? If you're getting into, there's payment processing now. You're pretty simple, and you're doing it, B2B, and maybe you don't have a lot of payment processing, or it's super simple. Maybe it's a little bit more straightforward. But for the average, in our business or startup or small business that is getting into payment processing, or at least that's a portion of the business, any special considerations or things that they should be looking or thinking about on the front end?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is, obviously if you're less than $5,000 a month in processing, really even 5 to 10,000 or less, Square's got a great option. A lot of people ask us that. Well, why shouldn't we just use Square? Well, it's a great option for startup businesses that aren't taking much in credit cards or just trying to figure it out. But once your business gets up and running and you're processing some volume, or you're starting a business that you've got some volume coming in and you've got clients and and you have other needs, there's a lot of options out there. There's options from being
Mm,
able to take credit cards through your website, being able to take credit cards through your telephone, being able to get into a point of sale system, getting into just a credit card machine, which a lot of businesses use. There's a lot of different options, and there's a lot of software packages out there that are you going to be invoicing through QuickBooks? A lot of people think you have to use quick processing. Well, we have a fully integrated product with QuickBooks that we can do payments through, and we can grab your invoices out of your QuickBooks and we can send them out and collect payment and come back and post it in QuickBooks, and we can save a lot of money on that stuff. We
mm,
can also talk about the differences. Do you want to charge a fee for taking a credit cards, or do you not want to charge a fee for taking credit cards? You can charge a fee. It's a big myth in our industry, and but you need to be compliant in how you're doing it. And there's a right way to do it and a wrong way to do it. And if you're doing it the wrong way, you're subjecting yourself to some large fines from Visa and MasterCard. Fines that you don't want to have, and fines that you don't need to have, as long as you're doing it the right way. And so that's where coming in and working with companies like ours will bring you that clarity around all these questions, because we're really going to look at your business and we're going to talk about how you're running your business and how you're taking payments and what you're doing, and really give you the best options for what you should be doing. And whether you do business with us or you go and do it with somebody else, at least we will give you that consultative approach of saying, hey, here's what we recommend.
mm. So now you hit on it, and there I'd love to dive in just a little bit deeper. So one of the things you hit on is, as an example, whether or not you pay for credit or credit card processing fees, and that's
Yeah.
kind of, so I'll put it, maybe I shouldn't, but I'll put it in the same boat as whether or not you charge for shipping. In other words, you can charge
Yeah,
for shipping, you don't.
that's
If
right.
you're going to use a credit card, whether or not, because you have to pay those fees and those associated.
Yeah.
Now, what are some of the other maybe either benefits? Because you said, hey, if you're a few $1,000s a month, Stripe, or any of those are,
Yeah.
it's going to be minimal enough that it's not going to have a big enough impact on your business. But as you start to
Mhm.
grow, in addition to whether or not you consider credit card processing fees, what are some of the other things or advantages of starting to look into payment processing, as far as how can it be impactful to the business?
Yeah, I think what you're paying and why you're paying it are the two biggest things that you need to think about and look at. And knowing, am I in a business that can charge a fee? There's some businesses that we tell our customers, hey, you're directly in competition against the big conglomerates out on the web that people can just hop online and buy it and have it at their doorstep the next day. You probably shouldn't charge a fee for credit cards because they're not. But then there's a lot of businesses that have that service, that's a level of service that they're not necessarily, they're paying for you, they're not paying for what you're doing, or what you're selling, and they need your service. And so in those businesses you can charge a fee, and you're going to see it more and more and more. Gas stations have been doing it forever. They have a cash price and a credit price, and so I think it's really just getting that clarity around the payments engine of what you're doing and how you're doing it and how we can help you. And that's, there's just so much that can be said about that. And I think the other big piece, and we were talking about at the beginning of the show, is the customer service side of it. How are you going to be serviced after you're signed up? Anybody can walk in the door and say, I'm gonna save you money. But what happens is a lot of people walk in the door and save you money, and then they go away and you never hear from them again. And in 6 months, your rates go right back to where they were. And you still don't ever hear from them again. And then you have a problem and you call an 800 number and you get some call center that has no idea what you're even saying. And so there's a lot of things like that that are really important, that you should know who you're doing business with and know, how they're going to service your accounts and what they're going to do, and really be able to give you that feeling of that, hey, if my machine breaks, they've got me. That's it's one of our core values, is we got you, right? That we want to be able to come in your business, and if you have an issue, we want to help you get back up and processing and get that area of your business taken care of. We don't want you worried about your payments.
No, I think that's definitely a great piece of advice and some great takeaways. And we're already wrapping up towards the end of the episode, and I feel like we just barely scratched the surface on a lot of these aspects. So we'll have to have you back on to another one of our sister podcasts here in the future and continue the conversation. But at least for today's discussion, as we do wrap up, I always like to wrap up with one question. So we're going to jump to that now, which is, within your industry, what is the biggest myth and why is it wrong?
Yeah, so I think the biggest myth today, right now, that we have a lot of merchants, and I just touched on it, is, can I charge a fee to take credit cards? I think it's, or that I guess the myth would be that I can't. And a lot of merchants believe because customers tell them you can't, and it's illegal and this and that, and it's not allowed. And the fact is that it is allowed. You just have to do it the right way, in a compliant way. And it's not for every business, but those are the ones that it's for. And we have businesses that we're saving 6 figures of credit card fees a year and didn't lose one single customer, because they're in the right business to be able to do it. And if any of the listeners would like to have that conversation, I would love to have that conversation with them. And that doesn't mean you have to do business with me, but we will absolutely have a conversation with you and talk to you about if your business makes sense to do it or to not do it.
Awesome. No, I think that's definitely a great myth to dispel, and definitely encourage people to reach out. So with that, you started to touch on it, but if people do want to reach out to you, they want to be a customer, they want to be a client, they want to be an employee, they want to be an investor, they want to be your next best friend, any or all of the above, what's the best way to reach out to you, contact you, find out more?
We'd love to have those conversations. We have a free consultative approach. We can give you a free assessment of your credit card process. We can turn that around to you in less than 5-minute conversation with you. You can reach us, go out and take a look at our website, payproudly.com, PAYPROUDLY. Feel free to email me, jmaine, MAINE, at payproudly.com. And all of our contact information is on our website. We would love to, have that conversation. Call us, test us, see if we answer the phones when you call us. Our numbers are out there. We tell our customers we answer the phones. Try it out, see if we answer the phones. But we'd love to have that conversation and show you and tell you what we're doing.
Awesome. Well, I definitely encourage people to reach out, support a great business, make a new connection. If nothing else, make a new best friend. So
there you go.
With that, thank you again, Jeff, for coming on the podcast. It's been fun. It's been a pleasure. Now, for all of you other listeners that are out there, if you can help us to share these journeys with even more startups and small businesses to help them along their journeys to success, just make sure to click share, subscribe, and leave us a review. It really does help us to reach those startups and small businesses. And on that note, if along your journey you ever need help with patents or trademarks or anything else for your startup, your small business, just go to strategymeeting.com, grab some time with us to chat, and we are always here to help. Well, thank you again, Jeff, for coming on the podcast, and wish the next leg of your journey even better than the last.
Thank you, Devin.